Hi, I'm Callie, and welcome to my kitchen. Tonight, we're having breakfast for dinner, which means I'm making cheese grits. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make the creamiest, most flavorful cheese grits you'll ever have. My husband loves these grits and has named them Ain't Your Mama's Cheese Grits. These turn out creamy whether you use the 5-minute quick grits or the long old-fashioned grits. Tonight I'm using the old-fashioned because that's what they had at the store and I don't have enough of the 5-minute grits to fix for all 6 of us that are eating grits. The first thing I'm going to do different is I start out with stock. I'm starting out with chicken stock tonight because we're having eggs with ours, but I use whatever flavor stock goes with whatever I'm having the grits with, because sometimes we have these with collard greens and pork chops, sometimes we have these with eggs, shrimp, fried fish, so I really just flavor the grits to go with whatever I'm eating them with. Tonight that's eggs, so I'm just using chicken stock. I just use the ratios on the back of the container or the bag. I've got 6 cups of stock that I'm starting with. Now I'm going to show you the first thing to do to make these grits creamy instead of lumpy. If you ever had lumpy grits because somebody stirred it in there too fast or poured it in and didn't stir it in enough, and some people get out of whisk, but I'm going to show you what my granddaddy did. This is the southerner that fixes grits every day tip. Is you see that cold stock right there? I'm not boiling it first. I'm going to add my grits to that cold stock before I even turn on the burner. I'm feeding 6, so I'm doing 1.5 cups of grits. It doesn't have to be exact. While the stock is still cold, I'm just going to stir out all the air. Now I'm going to turn my burner on. I'm turning mine on medium-high. As the water heats up, I'm going to keep stirring every few minutes and get all the air bubbles out and make sure there's no lumps in my grits. It's really that easy. As my stock has heated up, I don't have to stir it constantly, just every couple minutes as it comes to a boil. There is no lump. It really is that easy. So it's just starting to boil or simmer. You'll notice it's thickening up, but still no lumps. I'm just going to turn it down to a medium low. I'm going to do an offset lid, let some of the water evaporate, but not let the grits splash all over the stove. At this point, that's when I do the other things I'm doing. In this case, I'm doing my buttermilk drop biscuits, which I'm going to start now. That's in a separate video that you can see. But this just has to simmer, usually at least 20 minutes. But honestly, since I eat other things with grits, not just grits by themselves, this is the time I cook other things. So however long it takes me to cook the other things. When my husband and I were first hanging out as friends, I was a single mom, going to school 4 days a week, full-time culinary school, and working 36 hours the other 3 days a week. So my kitchen was a mess. So he would come over to hang out, and he would start cleaning my kitchen. And I would cook this man anything he wants, as long as he stood there cleaning my kitchen. So there was a space where all the dishes were that was between the stove and the sink, where just big enough where the dishwasher is that didn't work. And he'd clean all those dishes. And these grits took about as long as it took him to clean all those dishes. And then dinner or lunch or whatever would be ready. But they take about that long. Whatever else you need to do, this is the time I start cooking bacon or sausage or whatever we're making. And just keep an eye on the grits. Don't go far. Stir them every few minutes while you're doing what you're doing. Even with the quick grits, I still cook those at least 20 minutes. If I'm cooking a lot of something else, sometimes it's 40. Honestly, these are going to turn out creamier than the quick grits, but even the quick grits can be really creamy if you're adding enough liquid to begin with to cook them to the consistency that you want and cooking them close to 40 minutes. All of them are going to be creamy. So I'm going to get my biscuits going and we'll be back. I've got my biscuits in the oven now, so I'm going to turn back to my grits. We've stirred it every few minutes. It's been boiling about 20. Well, it's been simmering about 20. They've thickened up nicely and I have no lumps and they're not sticking because I've had it on a low heat this whole time. If you taste them, I didn't put any salt because of the stock that I used. You may prefer stock, but remember, these are cheese grits and cheese is salty, so you might not need it salted at all. Taste them at this point. They should be fairly creamy. Depending on the brand, they could still have a crunchy feeling to them. So depending on the brand, sometimes I add a cup of water or another cup of stock and get it simmering again and cook them a little longer to get them creamy. I don't think that needs any salt. I think by the time I get the cheese in there, that's going to be good. If you use the stock that doesn't have any salt or it doesn't taste salty at all to you and you're going to want it more salty, go ahead and add salt. If you add salt, you probably want to do it in the beginning before they get hot. It will carry over better. But be careful because you can get it too salty between the stock and the cheese. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and get my cheese. Here's my other secret ingredient that I use for my extra creamy cheese grits. This is low-fat cream cheese. I'm only going to use about half the container, or 4 ounces. It's about 110 grams. It doesn't have to be exact. If you've had it sitting out this whole time, it'll be soft and it'll melt into this nicely. I like to put it in and then put the lid back on. My lids seal the pots and come back in a couple of minutes and stir it in. While that sits, the other cheese I like to use is extra sharp cheddar cheese. I have 4 ounces left, which is perfect for these. If you want them really cheesy, you can add more. I've never found it necessary because between the 4 ounces of this and 4 ounces of that, I have 8 ounces of cheese and 6 cups of grits. You can shred the cheese up if you'd like, but I find it easier to just chop it in chunks. I always use a block because it's cheaper, but also it melts better. It's only been a couple of minutes, and this cream cheese is mixing in nicely. Once that's mixed in, I drop in my chunks of extra sharp cheddar. I stir just a little to cover the cheese and put the lid back on tight to let the cheese melt. Give it a couple minutes and I'll stir it again. It's only been a couple minutes while I cleaned everything up. My cheese is melted nicely, and then you just vigorously stir in the cheese. If you can see, there's also no lumps. It hasn't been sticking because we've been doing it low and slow. I use extra sharp cheddar because that's what I like. The cream cheese makes it really creamy, and the extra sharp cheddar gives it the flavor I like. My husband likes to do it sometime with Munster. You can use your favorite cheese or block of cheese and play with the flavors, but this is my personal favorite. I think this is the best. I just put the lid on. Sometimes I can turn it off at this point until I've fried all the eggs. But right now my biscuits are done. My biscuits are ready. My grits should be ready. I usually turn those off and start frying my eggs. So everything's ready when the eggs are finished. But I'm going to go ahead and taste these grits. If you can see how creamy these are and not lumpy. They're not stringy. If you like them cheesier, you can always put more cheese in them. I don't think you're going to need it, though. Can you see those grits? I think these are likely to be the creamiest grits you'll ever try in your life. It's a good amount of cheese. I don't think it needs any salt. I'm actually going to fry eggs and put with it and have mine with eggs. I fry those in bacon grease, so I definitely don't need any salt. I think those are perfect. Y'all, I kid you not, I think my husband married me because of these grits. He's about to go. Even if he has to do dishes to get them. If you like this video and haven't already, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. We hope to have more out soon. But in the meantime, I gotta finish cooking dinner. Y'all have a good one. Alright, who wants eggs?